Welcome to HMS, let the power flow. Feel the rhythm in your veins. Every rapid nitro flame.
All right. So in this video, what we're talking about is our psychological strategies, okay? So we've been looking at the physiological things that happen in the body when we perform. Today, we're looking at the things that happen in the mind, okay? Which is just as important for optimal performance. So psychological strategies are used by athletes to manage anxiety levels and enhance or optimize their arousal to facilitate peak performance. And I'll go through a little bit of that later. The first set of skills that we're going to talk about on this screen are our concentration and attention skills, or just collectively known as our focusing skills, okay? So sustained concentration in sports performance is challenging due to internal thoughts, all right? So you may be thinking about lots of things in your performance, but then you know how you have that fleeting thought, it's like, oh, what's for dinner, okay? Just those type of things. As well as external thoughts, such as, not external thoughts, as well as external cues, which could be distractors, such as the crowd, other players, opponents, the coach yelling at you, etc. All right. Probably more relevant internal thought as opposed to what you're having for dinner is like, did I perform that skill well? What could I have done better? But you probably need to process that later, not there in the performance. So these strategies enable athletes to remain focused on their performance, even if distraction occurs momentarily, all right? Because everybody can get distracted. For example, for self-paced skills and remember self-paced skills are the ones that you start and finish on your own accord. So athletes can go through the process and routine internally, which can help them sort of focus. And we have a special term for that called mental rehearsal, which I'll get to on the next screen. Or experienced athletes can perform skills automatically, enabling their focus to be redirected or directed elsewhere, such as on strategy and tactics. So there are three outcomes of our concentration and attention skills, and elite experienced athletes will be able to do all three, but we sort of develop them with practice and time. So first of all, we're going to select relevant cues and ignore the rest, all right? So if you're a batsman in cricket and you are coming to face a ball, you shouldn't be looking at the crowd. You shouldn't be looking at the shift of players. You need to keep them in mind where they are for when you play your shot, but you shouldn't be directly attention. Your attention really should be on the ball in the bowler's hand, okay? Secondly, we're going to return to this state of focus, even if it's momentarily lost. Okay, so even if you do get distracted, you don't stay distracted. You have the internal awareness that you're able to go, no, hang on, that's not relevant. Come back to it, focus on the ball. And thirdly, when you are more experienced, you will be able to focus on multiple relevant cues, okay? So with the batting example I was just giving, a beginning batsman will probably just really be focusing on the bowler. A more experienced batsman will be able to focus on the bowler, but also where the fielders are in the position so they know where to play their shot. They may be also considering things like wind direction, whether the bowler is running in fast or slow, their pace, their movement, where they're currently standing in the crease as in relation to the wicket. Lots of different cues, okay? So beginners have a very small focus. More experienced athletes can have much larger focus. Okay, second one is mental rehearsal, okay? So mental rehearsal is basically mentally practicing a skill or an event before physically doing it, okay? This stimulates the neuromuscular system, it refines movement patterns, and it leads to better skill execution, all right? So if any of you guys go to the gym or you play any sports, before you do that movement, let's say you're going to do a squat, a really heavy squat, before you get under the bar and start squatting, you've probably started to go through in your head, what's going to happen here? I'm going to put the bar on my back, I'm going to, fix my posture, I'm going to tighten my scapula to hold the bar in position. I'm going to take 2 steps backwards. I'm going to sit down into the squat, and then I'm going to drive up through the ground. All of those things go into your head, and then you do the movement, okay? Doing that is going to lead to better skill execution as opposed to just doing it in the first place, all right? It enables athletes to feel the contractions and visualize successful skill execution prior to movement. And that's important, success, all right? You don't want to go through mental rehearsal and then see it not going well, okay? Because that's sort of reinforcing bad habits, all right? So for example, an Olympic lifter rehearses and feels the connections they would make during clean and jerk. A lot of rugby league conversion kickers will actually go through and do mental rehearsal when they're standing there, okay? So they put the ball on the tee, they, mark out their step up or run up, as you want to call it. And then in that moment when they're standing there, they're mentally rehearsing. They're imagining themselves taking their 4 steps. They're imagining themselves striking the ball cleanly, where the ball trajectory is going to travel through the air, and then seeing it go through the goalposts. And then they move, all right? This is very, very common in sport and very powerful, which also leads to, but I will get to it later, decreasing anxiety specifically. I'll write it now. Decreasing anxiety levels prior to skill execution. Yep, so write that down with that. Okay, so our third one is visualization. All right, so visualization is positive mental images to either do one of 3 things: relax the athlete, push through physical challenges, or to increase motivation. Okay, so this is all in your head. This time we're not connecting. We're not making muscular contractions. We're not practicing movements. We're looking at a picture, an image that depicts something that is going to have a physical effect on the body. So remember, the brain, in all cases, affects the physicality of what's going on in the body. So this time we're trying to use this to manipulate this, okay? So for example, if we're looking at relaxing the athlete, let's say, you're a darts player and you need to sink a bullseye or triple 20 to win the game. You're feeling a bit nervous. You can start to feel the, palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, mum's spaghetti, all that kind of stuff. We're going to relax on the beach. We're not actually going to relax on the beach, but we're going to imagine or insert the thing that calms you down. It's your place, okay? This is where you are. This is what brings you home, feeling connected to the earth, to the sea, whatever it is. And hopefully it just has that nice relaxing effect. And then you open your eyes and you throw and you win. And then everyone goes nuts because you're amazing. That's what happens in my life anyway. Second one, we're going to picture a reward. Okay, so now we're looking at pushing through physical challenges. So let's say you're doing a sprint interval training session. That was dumb. Ignore that word. Sprint interval training session, okay? Really, really hard. Like, we know that it is like all out. I know you get lots of rest, but the 10, 20 seconds that you're on for just sucks, okay? But at the completion of this session, we're going out for donuts, okay? So it's like, it doesn't matter how hard this is and how much my legs are burning and how much I want to die. I love donuts, so we're getting there. So we're picturing that reward. And then obviously you should probably fulfill that reward, otherwise it's going to be a false promise. And then thirdly, if we're looking at increasing motivation, all right, picturing success of outcomes, okay? So for example, the trophy, a medal, fame, fortune, all that kind of stuff. When you kick the winning goal, so back to like the rugby league kicker who needs to convert, it's full time, scores are even, just need this conversion to win. Lots of stuff going on there, so he may need to picture some relaxing to reduce anxiety and arousal, but also looking at what needs the outcome if he kicks it. And that's going to be a very powerful mental image to control the body and hopefully get the goal, and everyone goes nuts. Again, everyone goes nuts lots in this video. All right. So our next set of psychological strategies are our relaxation techniques, okay? So relaxation techniques reduce anxiety and arousal, all right, which once again, we'll get to later. These can be done during performance, sometimes, like some of these can be done during performance and some of these can't be done during performance because that would just look weird, or prior to events. So you could do it prior to game day starting, you could do it the night before. The night before is really important because these things can facilitate better rest and sleep, and therefore enhancing recovery, and therefore enabling peak performance, all right? People that are tired don't perform well, whether you're a teacher or a elite athlete, okay? A lot of these things you guys should actually be doing anyway, okay? Especially the 2 and 4, all right? They are excellent. Cannot recommend enough, and you should probably start doing it. The other 2, do them if you want. Doesn't work for me. Not necessarily it doesn't work for you, because I know a lot of people like these ones. I'm just rambling now. Let's move on. Music. Music is a good one. It helps block out negative thoughts and distractors. Obviously, if we're using music as our relaxation technique, it shouldn't be the type of music that I listen to. It should be something relaxing, okay? So like put on put on Taylor Swift album or put on some classical even, although I do listen to classical a fair bit. But don't be putting on like, heavy metal, screamo type stuff or, clubbing music, because that ain't gonna relax you. No one's going to the club on Saturday night, pumping the music and everyone's just like chilling out on the dance floor. It doesn't work that way. Second one, controlled breathing, okay? This is important, and you can all do this, and you can all do this right now watching this video, okay? And this one you can do during performance. So you can't be like in the middle of a rugby league match and like just whack the iPod in. iPod, that's still a thing. But you can do controlled breathing. It works amazing. Has an instant physiological effect, okay? So to do this appropriately, you have a maximum inhale with a purposeful slow exhale. The only real rule about this is that the exhale needs to be longer than the inhale, but obviously the longer you can get it, the better, okay? Very, very powerful in reducing anxiety and arousal. So big breath in. I'm like instantly relaxed. Do it. You'll be instantly relaxed too. I swear. It works, okay? Do this. Double tick. Third one, we've got meditation, okay? So this is based on Eastern practices. Very good for stress reduction, focus on mindfulness, etc. Can work for you. Maybe you should do it. A lot of athletes do meditation. Do meditation. Anyway. The fourth one, progressive relaxation technique, okay, or progressive muscle relaxation. Doesn't matter how you refer to it, okay? This is also very good, and you guys can do this too. Can't do this sort of in the middle of performance, but you could do it if you're sitting on the bench waiting for your performance, or you could do it the night before. And a lot of athletes will do this in their bed to help fall asleep, to therefore facilitate enhanced recovery and enable peak performance, okay? So this helps decrease muscular tension, it helps decrease anxiety throughout the body and therefore lowering arousal as well. Very simply, you're going to start at the toes because it's progressive and you're going to work all the way up to the top of your body. So you lay there and the statement that I always remember is like, feel the tension, hold the tension, relax. And then if you follow the relax with an exhale, like because you can combine this and this together, you're going to be like super chill. Not that I'm super chill, but do these together. So you would like lay there in bed or just sitting down, and you can do it right now watching the video. Start at, what's the first part of your body? Your toes. So scrunch your toes up. Feel the tension, hold the tension in your toes, and relax and let them go. And then you do your next one. So you've got your tib ants and your calves. So let's do tib ants. Bring your feet up, feel the tension, hold the tension, relax. Calves. Relax. Quads. Okay, you get the point, all right? But you move all the way through your body, and by the time you get from your feet to your head, your body will feel relaxed. And that's good. We want to be relaxed if we're trying to decrease arousal, anxiety, get good rest, recover well to perform at our optimal peak. Okay, so our last psychological strategy that we're going to talk about is goal setting, all right? So goal setting keeps athletes disciplined, accountable, and it reduces anxiety because they can see themselves making progress, okay? So for example, an Olympic sprinter, and we know an Olympic cycle is 4 years, they set 8 short-term goals over a 3-year period to then reach the long-term goal of achieving gold in the 4th year at the Olympics, okay? So the sprinter that sets these 8 goals, maybe there's 3 goals in the first year, 3 goals in the second year, 2 goals in the third year, and then the long-term goal is the Olympics gold medal. They hit that first goal line and they achieve that goal. Okay, well that's motivating. They're like, yes, my training's working out, our game plan's working out, the coach, the feedback is working out, let's go for goal number 2. They hit goal number 2 and they're like, yes, that's 2 in a row, let's go for number 3. And they keep going and going, okay? People without goals, whether short-term or long-term, generally don't achieve much, to be fair. Or alternatively, people that just set long-term goals, most of the time don't get there because they didn't set short-term goals along the way to help facilitate them getting there, okay? Like if you want to save $100,000 to put a deposit on a house, the goal isn't to save $100,000 to put a deposit on a house. The goal is, by the end of this year, I will have $2,000 in a bank account. And then maybe the goal in 6 months' time is that will now be $8,000. And so you just make little chunks of it and then You can see your goals being achieved, and then all of a sudden, you can buy a house. Good for you. Just put this back in. It's very short because we have covered this before. All goals, when we're setting them, they should be SMART goals, all right? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Specific being, what is the actual goal? I want to achieve a gold medal, okay? Measurable, how do you know it's been achieved? Well, you won the gold medal, all right? Alternatively, if there's a time, like for a sprinter, so the goal actually may be, I want to run my 100 meters in 9.77, which, whatever. How do you know it's achieved? Well, you ran the 9.77. Is it realistic? For me, absolutely not. But maybe for a world-class sprinter whose current time is 9.81 and they've got 3 years to train, yeah, I'd say 9.77 is probably realistic. Is it relevant? Does it align with their life goals and decisions? Are they actively working towards that goal, or is it just something they want to achieve and they're not doing anything about it? And time-bound. When? When does the goal need to be achieved by? So, I'm actually out of time, so I'm going to stop the video there because the last bits we're actually going to talk about are anxiety and arousal and the details around different hypotheses that explain those types of effects on the body. So I will finish that in a minute. So obviously I'll just be dressed differently, but whatever.